that the newest tools and fancy tech will magically fix productivity and make teamwork effortless. The hard truth is that they won't. Without a clear communication agreement and shared rules, even the most expensive apps are just digital chaos in disguise. Well, Magda, let's find out what really makes a team click, communicate better, and work really productively.
That's right. And today we are together with Michael in one physical place because we are uh, having the Nozbe retreat. The full team meets in Poland, in Bydgoszcz city.
Bydgoszcz City. And we are here for a whole week to just be together because the remaining 51 weeks of the year, we work from home, we work remotely. So we see each other through virtual meetings, and today we get to hang out together. That's why we decided to record this podcast, also just taking advantage that
Yeah.
we can be together, sharing the same screen with you guys.
That's really nice. And we hope we will deliver some interesting insights for you today because we think it's based on our experiences, especially for me when I'm running the like demo or consults with our clients or potential users. I see that they expect that if they have a really great and expensive tools and they have great specialists on board, they can do nothing else, and collaboration and cooperation and effectiveness will just,
Skyrocket.
but that's not true.
So as you know, you can schedule a call with Magda to learn about productivity and about Nozbe if you go to nozbe.com/demo, DEMO. But this episode is basically Magda's experience while talking to our entrepreneurs, and my experience while talking to our Nozbe customers, that um, a great tool, a great productivity tool that has all the bells and whistles and all the features is not enough. That you have to have, there are these things that they think, we've got a great task management system, but everyone is using it differently. Well, if everyone is using it differently, it won't work. It won't make your team more productive. Or it's like this thing that you have, Nozbe, Slack, um, GitHub, and some other tools,
Email,
email,
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, and then nobody knows where to put stuff in. So even if you have all these tools paid for, you paid for them, you onboarded the whole team, but people just don't know where to put stuff, things don't work effectively.
Mhm.
That's why it's so important. Like this episode is about um, the the psychology behind communication, like how in a team we should agree to agree where we put stuff in, not agree to disagree, agree to really decide where we put stuff in and try to follow through on that.
Mhm. Yeah, like my name for that is the social agreement
Mhm.
or team agreement. But it's all about communication rules and some points and procedures that everyone on your team agrees on, and then follow them in order to have one way of thinking about the tools you are using, about the way you communicate, about the channels of the communication that you use, so that everyone knows what to do, how, and with what tools, right?
Yes, and because these clear rules, they really increase productivity. I mean, the tool is great, but these rules, like where how to apply them, is really what helps move your team forward. And
Mhm.
especially this way you avoid the whole information noise. Like this signal versus noise ratio is better because you're not repeating the same things over and over. It's like when somebody's sending an email, but then the other person is updating a task, and some other person is sending a WhatsApp message. Like things fall through the cracks, and you don't
Yeah.
know what's the source of truth, where you should look up things. And that's why the rules that you decide on, and these rules have to be worked on and decided together, they make sure that, okay, when we do this, we post it here. And this way, the situation is clear.
Hmm. Also, I think the social agreement and the rules regarding communication improve the sense of security, and maybe, like the ambience and the energy in the team. Because if we agree on the language that we are using, if we all keep the same level of empathy and like the tone of communication, then people are maybe happier, and there are no situations in which someone feels, I don't know, like awkward, or maybe there's some kind of discomfort by the way other people write or communicate.
Exactly. Like the thing is that, for example, in our company, we are cultivating this the way of communication that is just upfront, like, like a partner talking to a partner. So there is no hierarchy of, uh, asking, for permission, asking for permission to speak. You, if you have a question, you post the question, and if there is a task and there is a, description of what to do in the task in the comment to the task, but there's something not clear, you just ask a question. Hey, I don't understand this part, what should I do here? And you just ask it. And you're not beating around the bush, you're not trying to, like, you're being straightforward, because we are partners here, we work as partners, and we want to get things done together.
Yes, but at the same time, we are trying to do it in a gentle way so that no one feels, like bad or humiliated. There are also some rules, like social rules, that, for example, you criticize rather in private and you praise people in public. Or when you have something to say about someone's work or someone's mistake, you don't discuss it in public or
Yeah,
in
but
front of other people. So these are also the communication rules that everyone should follow in a team, so that
yes, but also
there is this.
when, like, in our situation where we use Nozbe words, it's like, task-based communication. You are more inclined to also, criticize not the person but the task, or consult on the task. So you ask the question, specific question about this task, not about this person. Like, so it's this helps a little, to have a tool that is focused on getting things done. So you talk about the things, not
Mhm.
about the people. But yeah, it's true. It's also the thing, sometimes, if you as you said, sometimes if you're not sure and you don't want to ask the question in public, you can ask it in private. But then when you get an answer, you write the answer down in the comment to this task,
Yeah,
so
if it's
everybody knows
relevant
if it's
for
relevant for everyone
yeah,
else.
of course.
So it's like you have to have this thing that, you have to try it out, and you have to, keep improving. And if somebody does a faux pas and does something, incorrectly, again, you criticize them in private, and indicate what kind of behavior
Mhm.
is important. But it's like, especially in our company where we work from homes and we see each other only once a year, like today, we better learn to over communicate, so to write more than write less, because if you write less, you just don't know what's going on, and you do want to know what's going on.
Yeah, also if you communicate remotely, so only writing, it's important. The tone of your message is also important, because if you receive a very like rough, straight to the point message, you think, oh my God, it's so, emotionless. So it's nice to use some emoji or something just to show that it's nothing. I don't know. It's personal.
Yeah, but again,
But
it's but again, if you work with somebody over a longer period of time, you know more or less what they say. It's like, if I write a full stop, it's not a full stop of death, it's just a full stop. You know that, this is how I write a sentence, that's it. So it's like, again, uh, it's important to learn this, and to practice it, to make sure that everyone is on the same page
yeah.
and is communicating.
And last but not least, it's also important to write it down and to have a documentation of this agreement for the new employees or people
Mhm.
who are coming and joining your team, so that they feel better, uh, and they know what to expect. what's the way of communicating in this company or team.
Yeah. So, for example, recently we've been doing an interview with a prospective employee, and I told her specifically that we do like to fight. I mean, fight in a way that we like to, be. If there is something we don't agree with, we just say it. Again, we don't criticize the person, we criticize the thing, but we do, because ultimately we want to solve it for the company. So if there's something we don't like, we say it out loud, like we write it out loud, and this way we communicate straightforward. And we don't hold it and not speak up, and then the thing gets derailed. So it's the question of how you want to communicate, which kind of tone you want to use, all that stuff. As you said, it should be written down, it should be available, and this way new person can like read the rules, but also see the rules, like see it with them applied by just watching some comment threads in tasks, and see how people really react and comment.
Okay, so what we want to pass on to you is that the tool, even the greatest one, isn't enough if you don't have the specific rules of using this tool and communicating in your team. And talking about the great tool.
Yeah, let's check out who else knows how to use our tool to communicate effectively. And after this, we will give you how to really create this kind of communication agreement. So stay tuned after Sarah.
When we've been around for about 10 years, our business has, and we've been using Nozbe for about 8 of those years. And as we grew, we kind of got to the point where I just couldn't remember everything anymore. I'm pretty organized. I would just kind of keep everything in my head and with post-it notes and things like that. And it just got to be too much. And so I started looking around for some sort of project management software that could help me set up really a trusted system. But really, I just wanted a system where I could know that I had everything in there. I wasn't going to forget anything. I wasn't going to drop any balls for our clients or miss deadlines.
All right. So based on what we've learned and what we learned from our customers, how to create a great communication agreement. Magda.
We tackled some points already, but what's important for me, first point, is the language. So what language, not only the type of language, I mean the language, the cultural language, but also what tone of language do we use, and how we communicate, how we expect people to talk to us, the way, the tone, the vibe, also if it's the goal is to formulate the very, very short, concrete messages, or is better to over communicate, as Michael said? Is it better to communicate synchronously or asynchronously? But also, as in our history, in our company, we also had the issue about which actual language to use.
Yes, because we are a Polish-based company, so our mother tongue is Polish, not English. But we actually use both languages, and there was a moment where we had also employees from different countries, so we would use English as the main language. Now we have only Polish-based teammates, so we use mostly Polish. But if somebody feels like writing things in English, it's fine. Also, for example, on specific channels, and let's talk about that, we use different languages. So, for example, on GitHub, we do use English mostly. And again, it's also important to know the communication channels. So, for example, when we always say that we use Nozbe to build Nozbe, which means when we describe a feature that we want to build in Nozbe, we write it in a project, in a task in Nozbe. Then everyone can jump in, comment on the feature, put their feedback and stuff. So this works. But then the programmers who are actually coding the feature, they communicate technical stuff in GitHub, so next to the code, because this makes more sense to communicate there. But whenever they have a doubt about the feature itself, the comment goes back to Nozbe. So like so they're like, I've been working on this feature, but I have a question about this and this interface. Like, do we have this button or this button? So then they ask in Nozbe about that, But the technical stuff, which kind of function to use, which kind of programming language, like, it's on GitHub. So this is really important. Also, when we create documentation for the features, we used to use a lot more like apps like Dropbox Paper, or these kind of document-based apps. But now we've also simplified it, and we mainly use just longer comments in Nozbe. In Nozbe on the desktop, you can have a full screen comment, so we can just
we
write.
have more and more options to make long comments more user friendly. As Michael said, you can go to the full screen mode so that you can only see the view of your task and this comment you are working on your screen if you are working on a computer. And also you can add some formatting to your text. You can use hashtags for headings, or 2 stars for bold or italics, or anything to make your comment looking more like a document, like
Yeah,
Word document.
and we'll be developing even more the comment interface over the next months to make sure that it's easier for us to document things inside of Nozbe and not to put them in a different app.
But the main thing we want to say is that there are tools dedicated to specific things, and we use these tools in a specific way.
Yes. So and also, if somebody slips up, for example, somebody sends an email, instead of putting a comment where it belongs, for the rescue, there is this feature of emailing things to Nozbe. So you can basically forward this email to Nozbe, so it attaches itself to the right project, or maybe the right tasks, or the right task, or the right section. So you can always migrate the content back to Nozbe, to where everything else is, so that you don't get different communication information.
Also, we are not perfect. We are not only using Nozbe, although probably 99% is actually Nozbe. Sometimes we send a private message to each other, but it's also only in very urgent, strict situations that we use that vehicle for communication. Another thing is also sometimes we call each other. Sometimes we need to show, or I ask someone smarter and more tech savvy to explain me something, then I ask them to connect with me via Zoom. It's also there. We have Zoom. We don't talk all the time. We don't have online meetings practically at all, but sometimes I need it, so then I use this tool. But there are certain rules, and I don't overuse it. I don't use it without a really particular reason.
Yeah, because we opt in, and we recommend using asynchronous communication, which means like you post a comment when you're done with some work. This way everybody else knows. And also, posting a comment to a task sometimes is it can be treated like a journal. Like you just basically journal what you've done, because the comment is then serves to you as your mental note, but also to everyone else on the team, like where you're at, like what's the stage of this feature, what's the stage of this, of this task. And with that, we normally, the idea is that you have to decide if you want to mention someone in this comment because you want them to pay attention to that comment or maybe react to this comment. Maybe you don't, and so you just write a comment and you wait for them, as asynchronous communication, so wait for them to reply when they have the time. But sometimes when, for example, Magda wants something from me urgently, she writes me a message in messages in Nozbe, and she basically links to a task. Hey, Michael, in this task, I really need your answer because I cannot move forward with this, especially now that she's been organizing this, this Nozbe retreat, Nozbe reunion. She had to know, maybe the gadgets, maybe the t-shirts,
the
money. Can we afford this? Can we do this? Should we do this? Like this kind of thing. So she needed my answers pronto. Approval. Like she can decide on anything, but it's good to have a sounding board. So so this way we could decide quicker. But normally, we opt for asynchronous communication. So somebody works on something, they post a comment, then other people post their comments when they can. But again, this should be kind of there should be an agreement how it's done.
Exactly. It should be a part of your agreement, whether you go for asynchronous communication or synchronous, or if some kind of mix, then you have to in my opinion, you should list the cases
Mhm.
when you go for synchronous communication and you um, mm, you dare to spoil someone's focus and concentration, or if you stick to the patient way and just sending the message and waiting for someone to respond.
Also, this part of working together, working in a kind of partnership, like co-working, using a tool. It's important to be able to really communicate directly. So some of the things I've noticed is that sometimes the managers or the owners are kind of hesitant of the fact that somebody can delegate a task to them. They think that because they are the managers, they delegate tasks to others. But in my case, if somebody wants something from me, they should create a task for me. Like if they're asking me, in some passing comment or maybe in a direct message, hey Michael, have you thought about this? I'm like, where's the task for that? If there is no task for it, I'm not gonna do it. So in my team, people are used to the fact that they create a task and delegate it to me.
Not
Because
only to you, but
yeah,
generally.
to everyone
And
else.
this is also another part of our agreement. If you need someone's attention, if you need information from someone, if you want anything from someone, you create a task for them. Unless there is already a task related to this topic, then you just add a new comment to this task. But yes, we task each other, no matter how high or low in the hierarchy they are.
Yes, and this way, again, it's a culture thing. Like, we know that the tasks are for this. I always see myself as the owner of the company, as the leader, as the person who's like, making your life easier, making everyone else's life easier. Like, this is my job, because people who work for my company, work with my company, I want them to have the most effortless work possible. So if I can help them out and I can create space for them, this is my job. So if they want something from me to help them do their work, of course, create task for me. I'll do whatever I can to help you do your work better.
I think it's called servant leadership, and it's a really nice idea. Okay, what else do we have? Uh, for sure, we agreed that we work within a very simple structure of projects, tasks, and comments, and we stick to this. This is how we structure our work. All the information, our whole database is sits in projects and tasks, and the discussion takes place in comments.
Yeah, and sometimes people are asking, like, when do you know if it's a project or if it's a task? How do you work on this? And again, you like basically you follow a little bit getting things done David Allen rule, like saying that if something needs more steps, more things to do, it's a project. If something doesn't require so many steps, then it's a task. But sometimes we use a checklist. Like, if there is this, a bigger task, but it just needs some very simple steps, then you can write a checklist in a comment, which is easy. But sometimes you're like, okay, this task is blowing out of proportion. There are things that need doing alongside of this task. So then we create a project. So, for example, uh, for each, like, every each development cycle of Nozbe, which happens every 6 weeks, we create a new project with all the features we want to build. And some features only have a task, and we comment in this task of this feature. But some features do have their own projects because they're more complicated. They need more testing, they need more development, they need more design,
and more people,
and more people involved. So exactly, and this is the clue. If this feature needs more people involved during the development, we need a project for it. If this is a feature that one developer can just build and ask things, some people, and that's it, but it's still pretty straightforward, they don't create a project. They just follow the task and update the task. So again, you have to figure it out on your own, like how you want to make it complicated. We have customers who have, for example, one project, one customer. But if this customer is bringing another project, like they are, for example, building another thing for this customer, very often they create a new project for it, or they create a section in this. It's, again, you have to work this out. But what we have built in Nozbe, of having this simple structure of project, task, and comments, it always kind of forces you to simplify to make sure
Yeah.
that you can easily find what you're looking for and easily find what you need to to update or what you need
Mhm.
to work on.
Mhm. Then another thing that we follow and we think it's really practical is playing task ping pong. This is the way we communicate through task and comments, so that we can be sure that someone will react to our message or to our needs. How does it work? Firstly, uh, you should never write a comment just like that to the like without any sign to whom it is addressed. So when you write a message, you should either mention someone or delegate the task back to the person you received it from, because you need more information in order to start working on this task. So first someone delegates the task to me, then I send it back to them asking, but you didn't give me enough information. Then they provide the information and then delegate the task back to me. So this is like the set of passes of the ball. And then finally I get to work. And when it's done, again, very often, I think it's very important and nice for the communication process that when you are done, you write at, in Nozbe, we use at for mentions. At Michael, for example, it's done. And only then I tick off the task is done, so that this person who delegated the task to me isn't worried and it's not waiting.
Mhm.
And it's not, when it will be done, when it will be done. Okay, it's done. Here's the message for you. And I tick off the task from my list.
I really like this name of the task, ping pong. Like this ping pong, and it's sometimes, like, for example, I delegate the task to someone, they delegate it back to me, saying that they've done it. So I'm actually the one who ticks it off, even though I didn't do it. They just, let me know that I've done it. So it can also work like this. You just delegate back and forth, and it's also the question of how you want to communicate. How people prefer to communicate. Like how do they also prefer to have the confirmation that the other person knows that this thing is done.
Yeah, but I also emphasize that it's really important to address your message to someone in Nozbe, because if you write just a plain text message, nobody will react to it, because they won't know that who expects.
Pro tip: in Nozbe, if somebody writes a comment, you can click to reply to comment. So when you reply, automatically they're already mentioned in the comment. So you just click reply, and this way you have the copy of the original comment, and you can edit it out, and then you can write your answer, and then
it's like a thread.
Exactly, then it's like a thread.
What else is important for a really effective communication?
Some people like due dates, like they want to put really a due date, communicate also a task, I want it done by then, or I'm going to do it by then, which is also useful. Like we don't use due dates as much. Like we only use due dates, like for example, like here, like this podcast is due today. We are going to record it today, so it's there so that everybody knows, like it's today at that hour. However, sometimes we don't do it. We just ask somebody, like, can you just do it for me, and delegate it to them, and then we see, for example, that they have updated the task, they have responded to our comment, and they have changed the due date, for example. So this way we know, okay, so they have decided to do it tomorrow. Great. Again, this is also a part of communication. They communicate through this task when it's going to be done. So if it's past due, you can write a passive aggressive comment. Just no, I mean, we can write a mention, hey Magda, how is this thing going, and then they can reply to you. So due dates, for some people and in some industries, are really important, because things have to happen at that particular date. But sometimes it's also the question of just setting your own deadline. But if you really, for example, want to do an internal deadline just for yourself, instead of putting a due date, you can put a reminder. So for example, remind me about this task tomorrow. So this way you will have it as your planned things for tomorrow automatically in Nozbe.
Yes, and it's cool that you mentioned that, because also if you don't put a due date and you delegate a task to someone, you need to be sure that they will take care of it. And that's the matter of trust. In our company, we trust each other a lot. For some people, it's even too much of trust. But what I want to say that when you task someone with something, you have to be sure that they will take care of it, and they will only if they check their application regularly. So this is a super important part of your social or communication agreement. If you have a tool, you have to all agree that you will use this tool regularly. It's not that you will, oh, maybe I will check my inbox in this tool twice a week, or once a week. It's absurd, because then you cannot rely on people. If you decide to go for a tool for communication and getting things done, then everyone on your team should be checking the inbox or their task in this application regularly, religiously, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, this is your main communication. Like, you should then, once you decide that you put stuff, tasks, things to do in Nozbe, for example, then of course you have to be checking Nozbe more often than actually email or other communication. It's like with me, everybody knows that I am not the best email correspondent. It's because for me, more important are the comments to tasks to my team, which are in Nozbe. Because email, I only use email to communicate with the rest of the world, not with my team. So for me, my team comes first, and this is where my comments to tasks are, and everything else is secondary, and it's in the email. So I check email once a day, and I check Nozbe many times a day. So it's just a question of priorities, and again, of the communication structure.
Yeah, but if you agree on a tool, like, everyone should follow the rule, and they should really check the inbox. In Nozbe, I'm sure, because I know that everyone is checking their inboxes, incoming view regularly. Plus, everyone has their notifications on. So
Yeah.
if you go to the settings in Nozbe, you choose notifications, and then you choose which events should be like emphasized by a push notification, either on your computer or on your mobile device. Then it makes Nozbe more interactive. Yes, someone sends you a task, then your phone buzzes.
Yeah, but in Nozbe, we make sure that it's not too much, so
Of
it's
course.
not overwhelming. It's like if somebody comments on a task that I'm working on, and they don't mention me or they don't delegate task to me, I don't get a push notification. I have the information activity and I can review it, but it's not pushed to me. That's why, again, it's the communication culture that you have. Also, last but not least,
Review.
Like, we have Mighty Fridays, so our Fridays are different. On Fridays we do a weekly review, and we encourage everyone, all of our customers and all people who are listening to this podcast, to review your things on a Friday, to make sure that you have cleaned up everything, that your inbox, your incoming is empty, that your task list is current, and that your obligations are current, and you're not slacking off, and people can depend on you. So it's really important on a Friday to review everything and make sure that you're ready for the next week.
Yeah, it's really sad to see other people's Nozbe inboxes or Nozbe's interfaces when they share their screens with me during our consultations. Sometimes I see that they have, I don't know, 100 overdue tasks plus 900 tasks in activity. It's not cleaned, it's not reviewed, it's not read. I see they would like to use Nozbe, and they put a lot of hope in that tool, but how it's not magic. Yeah, it's only a tool, so you need to use it properly and to clean it to be able to have it helping you in everyday life.
And it's not about you cleaning the tool, it's about you communicating with others. So, and again, setting the expectations that you will communicate back.
Yeah, but sometimes these are solopreneurs.
Yeah.
They pay premium subscription for a tool, and then they have like 25 overdue tasks. That's also the matter of your own social agreement with yourself. Yes? If you have something due today, then you either have to do it or postpone it. So the tool enough is not enough. The best technology is not enough. You need to have the manual and the rules.
And we can have AI helping us, summarize things, move things forward. We can ask AI questions, but in the end of the day, we should be in control of our tool, and we should make sure that the way we use it, it's transparent with everyone else, and they are also using the tool in a very similar way. I've enjoyed it recently, how you were, talking to on one of the demo meetings with someone who he, as you said, wanted to use the tool once a week, and you're like, no, 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 this is not how you use the tool. Like, you either decide, you commit, or you don't. Luckily, after half an hour with you and your training, they decided to do commit and get Nozbe for a year and really start using it properly. So let's I think fingers crossed for them, so that the communication will help them, because at the end of the day, if everyone is on the same page, it's just easier to get things done.
Yeah, that's how it works. So what? To wrap it up, we just have a message for you. Just have a set of rules for all the tools that you are using, and share it with the team and try to follow them. Maybe you can do some kind of audit or the check control of your system and the communication procedures and applications, and see if all of you follow the same rules and know what to do with which vehicle and with which application.
Yeah, I mean, and remember, the communication, culture is dynamic. It will change. As I mentioned, then you will figure it out, like what should be a task, what should be a project, how you should communicate. Like, if you make a mistake, you learn from the mistake, but over communicating and knowing where to communicate is never wrong, because then you will figure out how to make it better and more effective. So make sure that you have these rules, you apply these rules, you like review them, and then also you onboard new team members in your team, showing them how it's done, and then of course make sure that the leaders of the company also are following these rules, like everyone else. So for me, this kind of summary would be just you know you work together, you make sure where you work, and so where you work is also where you communicate, and uh, having that will always be, having clear communication channels and communication language will help you have clear productivity, reach your clear productivity goals.
That's right.
So thanks for today. Thanks for this episode. I hope it was useful. If you have any questions, post them in the comments to this video or this podcast, or write them to our support and support@nozbe.com, or schedule a demo with Magda at nozbe.com/demo. And if you still are on the fence whether you should try Nozbe, well, take our gift, which we'll give you right now after this show. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for being an amazing listener of the No Office podcast. Every other Wednesday, we meet to talk about productivity and hybrid lifestyle, because we believe that work is not a place to go, it's a thing to do. It's a special gift only to No Office podcast listeners. When you sign up for Nozbe using this link, nozbe.com/podcast, you'll get $30 of credits, which you can use to upgrade to Nozbe Premium. Nozbe helps thousands of smart business owners and their teams get their professional and private life organized in a single app in a simple way. And Nozbe is free for up to 3 active projects and 3 people on your team. So start today and claim your free bonus credits, which you will later need to upgrade to unlimited projects. Once again, thank you for being an amazing listener. Thanks for your support and for spreading the word about our No Office podcast and Nozbe. See you and hear you in the next episode, and in the meantime, claim your bonus credits here.